Reunited.
Reunited.
And it feels so good. Oh, baby, that was hot.
Yeah.
All right. Hey there, it's Dr. Amanda Noelle.
And Jack Rousseau.
The Twin Flame Matchmakers, and we are presenting to you our love story of how we reunited after the Twin Flame Runner phase. If you have been struggling with Twin Flame Runner energy, woo, you fell in love, and where did they go? Ow, ow, yes.
Heartbreak.
Heartburn, you want to die, you want to curl
left
up
you
in a little ball and start crying in the fetal position. So we're going to help you get through this phase by hearing our story, and maybe this will also help you to tell if really you're in a Twin Flame Runner phase or if you've just been run away from by a Twin Flame counterfeit, which is not so fun to waste your time on. So stay tuned. So Jack, do you want to tell us about our twin flame fairy tale that was just so perfect and so flawless?
Okay. So we were having a twin flame fairy tale with some doubts at some points.
He was 9 years younger. Would I just that's
we
perfect.
Definitely went through a lot of triggers, a lot of pain during our twin flame stages.
I developed a 6-figure business. He was floating around like a hippie love child after quitting his engineering job a year and a half prior, which I thought was ballsy. Gave him some credit, but I was like, I ain't no sugar mama.
Taking a year off, traveling, exploring the world. It was pretty awesome.
That's true. Yeah. I did that too in my 20s, but I am 9 years younger, so I was not taking you super seriously at the beginning. But then what happened?
Then we went through a lot of stages of falling in love and then having doubts and then falling in love and then having doubts again. Just about every single month we were like, I'm in, I'm out. I'm in, I'm out. And then...
And it never was the kind of in love for me that I was so love sick that I couldn't focus. And I think why I chose to create that in my twin flame reality is I'd had so many twin flame counterfeit fantasies that just... they sucked. I ended up so heartbroken so many times that with Jack, it was like part of me going, I want to be so in love with him that I can't control myself. And then there was another part of me going, no, never again. I will never fall for a guy to that level. So it was confusing to have this guy who was very real, present. I was in love, but it wasn't an addictive kind of a fairy tale. It was very real in here, and it was kind of weird.
Yeah, so it was real.
It was real.
And it wasn't like in a fantasy. And so sometimes that can be hard because sometimes we really want to live in a fantasy because we don't want to face our pain. And
we're afraid that reality is going to suck way more than living in a fantasy and living in a ho-hum world, you know? Right.
So back and forth. She had some nightmares that I wasn't her twin flame and that she thinks she saw her twin flame in her dream and things like that, crazy stuff like that. But it seemed real at the time, and it was very scary for me because I was like, oh, shit, that's not something I want to hear.
And then there were also dreams where he was my twin flame, or there was some kind of like deep, deep soul connection. And right when I met you, I had a dream about a man that I fell in love with. He had your same energy, but his name was Jamie and he was from France. So it didn't really make sense.
Right,
so I was very confused.
Right. And the brain is a trickster like that. Fear is a trickster. So we got to one point where after many back and forth stages, we told each other that we were going to commit to each other. We had this really powerful connection. I think we both cried a little bit and we were ready to fully commit. And then we moved down to Southern California in our beach house and falling in love. And then we went to this party one night with friends. Many people of which we didn't know as well. It was a party. And why don't you tell the story?
So I think what happens a lot of times is when we step into a fantasy that we've been visualizing for many, many years and it becomes real, you can kind of question the fantasy. Like you start having it come true. Oh my gosh, I manifested my dream home or dream relationship, dream job. When you step into it, you're like, maybe I could have manifested a little bit better because like I manifested this, I can create with the universe. And so then I started questioning myself. That night I ended up bumping into a guy that actually looks a little bit like Jack's brother. I mean, there was a very similar energy, but I met this guy and instantly I felt like a kind of something there. And as the night progressed, I realized that this would have been the kind of guy that I would have had a massive crush on if I hadn't had a partner. I would have fallen in love and obsessed that he was my twin flame based on my old fantasy patterns. And I was like, shoot, I have a twin flame and I have this potential like really intense, passionate thing. And I felt this wave of shame hit me. I felt like just by thinking about another man and having a twin flame was like, whoa, like I could be a cheater because I just told Jack that I want to basically have his babies and commit and like, let's move in, let's do this. And our relationship was pretty new at that point. I think we'd been together for about 6 months or so, maybe even less. And we were back and forth during that time because I was not sure about his age difference and some other things. So I felt super nervous that I had just jumped into this relationship with Jack. So I ran. I said the next day, this is the hardest thing, but I'm not sure if what I said about all the commitment is real because I have a crush on this other person, and it freaked me out. And I thought maybe like, you know, the other guy's my real twin flame. And I was so confused. It was very, very hard, which is why I wish I could have hired myself at that moment. It was just like the shit hit the fan and I couldn't find my way out.
And I think this is something that's confusing in all romantic relationships and probably all marriages, is that what do you do when you meet another person of the opposite sex and you're attracted to them? Like, does that mean that you should leave your current partner, or, you know, or is it just like some like infatuation, like fantasy that you just, if you were single, would love to do, but you know, maybe it's not maybe it's just a short little fling that you would want to experience, but maybe it's not the greatest long-term decision.
So keep in mind, I'd been doing twin flame matchmaking work for years before this, and I'd helped my clients through similar situations. So I was like, okay, I am like a cancer doctor who has cancer. Now it's time for me to, you know, really show up. So I followed my own advice, which is to really step into unconditional, deep, divine love, both for yourself and for everyone around you. And I was with Jack, and I was feeling like I might not be honoring him if I committed to him for life before I explored some more possibilities and things, because I had been going through a very long 5-year period of healing my heartbreak. Jack helped heal it. And I thought, well, maybe I need to just go out and date a few more guys before I really know. And so what I did was I asked Jack for permission to have a conversation with the person. And I also checked in with him and said, you know, I really just want to honor you and tell you that like I would love to have you as a friend, a partner in life on some level, not necessarily romantic, because I felt so much love for him. I was like, that is not gonna end like ever. Like I just love him so much, and I want to do everything I can to support you as I also honor my desires. And it was so hard. It was like, I don't know, it was like seeing someone you deeply love and telling them they have a disease or something. It was hard.
So then we basically had a conscious uncoupling,
and we said,
the next 3 days basically getting through all of our greatest fears about breaking up, and at least having a break from each other.
We walked through the fire.
We totally walked through the fire fully.
It was like a death. It was really sad.
Oh, super sad.
And we want to call each other and cry. That was the weirdest thing. It's like,
right.
I want to call Jack and tell him how much I miss him because I broke up with him.
Right, that's how breakups are.
Yeah.
So, the next like week and a half was just like heart-wrenching, like, just like pain and, but also a lot of healing. It allowed a lot of space for healing.
It was a lot of healing.
Yeah.
I tapped into my friendships. I did a lot of self-care, and I started visioning what I wanted to create in my life. And it kind of made me appreciate Jack even more. So I like filled up the empty nest where I'd had him before, and I was like, wow, like I have so much joy, but I still want Jack there.
Yeah. It was actually really healing because I think we did get really codependent in a lot of ways. Like
at the beginning,
especially because we were
before
so
the runner phase, we were
together
intermeshed.
and intermeshed, and like doing all this inner child work, healing our past pain. That when we separated, then we had all these like kind of open spots where we could kind of fill that in with our own self-love. And so then we kind of became two whole beings.
Mm-hmm. And with that autonomy, we were able to think more clearly and decide from a place of authenticity. Whereas I think at the beginning, it was like masculine, feminine energy just came together, two people came together, and it was all like mixed up. Right. And when we separated, the amazing benefit of twin flame runner phase is that you can really understand unity, and you can also understand autonomy. So when I came into myself, I identified again, oh, in partnership, this is how I know what I want. And this is how I can give myself permission. So then when we were back together, I'd already really like charged myself up, going like, it's okay to hurt you if I don't want to hurt you, but it's okay to honor myself. And I know what is honoring myself versus I subconsciously felt at the beginning that I was like doing Jack a favor by being with him. There was like some kind of story going on, and then when we were separate, I became clear.
Right. And so we separated for about a month, not much communication, and crazy coincidence. So Amanda went to Bali for a retreat for some of her clients, and I manifested this job opportunity because I was looking to make some money down in Southern California at a Google event. And so I worked there for a week.
And he'd already moved back up to the Bay Area. We'd separated. So he was coming to get this job that totally came through 7 hours by car. You know, it was a pretty cool coincidence.
So, and by the end of my working at the Google event, I think the last day was when you flew back from Bali. And so there's this crazy synchronistic timing.
He happened to be in town. I happened to fly in 24-hour flight, and like we intersected.
And so, I said something like, I know like we're friends now, but like let's hang out. Like I'd love to see you. Like I love you, and like I don't care if we're just friends or whatever it is.
I missed him a lot at that point. Yeah.
So then we reunited at our little beach condo.
Well, at that point, I have to say
your beach condo.
I have to say that it didn't really become our beach condo until I really let you in,
right.
And I was done with the runner phase.
Right.
So that was another thing too, because I came from lineage where men own property, and I was like, all right, like I've created my reality, my dream, my 6-figure business, this beautiful beach home, and then he like,
I think they're ready to hear the end of the story.
Okay,
I'll let you. Sitting on the edge of their seats.
Okay,
I think they really want to know what happened.
I had a lot of stories and I had a lot of pride. So if you have that ego thing going on, just cut it. So, okay.
So we reunited at the beach house and spent time with each other as friends. And we spent about a week together, just hanging out, just really diving deep with each other emotionally again, but just totally like in a friendship way. Like there wasn't... I think there was some kissing, but there wasn't anything more than that. And it was really kind of on a friendship level. But by the end of that week, we were clearly like madly in love with each other again. Like we couldn't help it. And
we couldn't help it.
Then we just started falling back in love again.
And there were a couple of requests that I had made or declarations that I was like, you know what? I worked so hard for breaking through my money blocks, and at that point Jack wasn't making any income when I had the twin flame runner phase. And I told him, I was like, this is important for me. I've really worked so hard on this, and I want a partner that can meet me where I'm at, especially since I was a woman, you're a guy. Anyways, okay, so I set this boundary, like I want a man that can generate income, so I'm not the sugar mama. And when Jack circled back, he had manifested like 3 different awesome part-time jobs and blended them together. And he went from being something like $7,000 in debt, the most he'd ever been in debt, to coming out with no debt. He was making money. He got like a part-time engineering, or you end up manifesting an engineering job right after that.
Yeah, I got an engineering job right after that.
And so I had no reason to complain. I mean, it was like, shoot, I'm out of excuses. Why not to be with this guy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I manifested like everything that we needed.
It was crazy. And then I was like, I really want to manifest that we work together. And then we had some miracles happen for that to flow through. So,
hope you guys enjoyed this video. relationships.
So in summary, if you have a twin flame runner, you'll know that they're a twin flame runner because they eventually circle back. They run back and they come back with more autonomy, more self-love, more compassion, and they know what they want. You may have to go through some ringers and it's not always pretty, but commit to the path of self-love and you will reflect that back in your divine partnership, regardless of who it is with.
Right. If you focus on self-love, first and foremost, if the person comes back, then it was meant to be. If they don't, if there's still no connection there after you've done your healing, then you know it's not your twin flame.
And that's where most women get really lost and they get stuck in the pain, is they're wondering why their twin flame isn't coming back because they've done all this healing on themselves. If you have really committed to yourself and he still hasn't run back, it's not your twin flame. If you still think he's your twin flame, then you probably have more work to do. And it can be really helpful to work with a twin flame expert, a healer, a counselor, a coach, someone who can guide you through melting your twin flame love blocks. Those things that, you know, they're almost in your blind spots. They're from your childhood, from past lives, from low self-esteem, from so many different sources that are out there or in there. And you really want to clear these out. I know it can be really, really hard. Even as a twin flame matchmaker myself, I was guilty of having these blocks for 30 years, over 30 years. And as a professional, I've seen women manifest total incredible kings and knights in shining amour when they clear their love blocks. And when they don't, I've seen them get addicted to twin flame runner counterfeits. And that is such a waste of time and love and precious life force energy that you can be investing in your twin flame love relationship or your soul purpose path when you call in that partner. There's going to be so much love to give. So don't wait. Don't waste your time. We do have a complimentary twin flame love blocks melting webinar. You can click the link here or you can click the link below and we will gift you a complimentary spot on the free training.
And if you guys want to overcome these love blocks before Valentine's Day 2016, then you definitely want to get a spot on this webinar.
And if it's already past that date, then you can still get a spot and we'll hook you up.
Thanks so much, guys. Please subscribe if you enjoyed this video. We got a lot more videos like these coming out, so keep looking, keep following us.
And keep falling in love with yourself, because when you do, you'll call in that twin flame much faster. Thanks for joining us. Namaste.
Namaste. Nice.
Nicer.
Very